Let's move on to chapter 6, which is called Structural Adaptation, Handling Device Layout and Scaling.
Right. So this chapter goes into a bit about how to lay out
Hmm.
your different applications, and we talk specifically about using the layout options inside of Flash Professional CS 5.5, and also it's applicable to Flash Pro CS 6,
Right.
and also using the Flex framework and the different layout opportunities available through that framework in setting up your applications.
Very cool. And one thing I would add to this is already at this stage, when you're in chapter 6, you should definitely have a device, and ideally even more than one device that's Android based, so you could then run it on various devices and see how they work. Because that's your best. That's going to be your best learning curve, seeing it in action in real applications. Um, so I wouldn't say the specific exercise for this one because this is really back to you know, testing, going back and forth and finding the right solution for the right problem. Um, Very cool. So I think for chapter 6, we're gonna give them a pass on creating a specific task, unless you have an idea that you think would be a good one to do.
Yeah, I mean, with layout, one of the big problems
Mm-hmm.
in or challenges
Mm-hmm.
is dealing with these various layouts and resolutions.
Right.
So not only do you have to worry about width and height, but you also have to worry about pixels per inch, so
Right.
actual pixel depth
Right.
upon these different devices. And there are some ways of handling that.
Mm-hmm.
Flex is actually a really nice framework for dealing with that sort of thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it can also be accomplished through straight action script and just getting familiar with, um, you know, different ways of reading that data once the application actually runs on the device. You can get some data about that
Mm-hmm.
and apply it to your application in terms of layout.
That makes sense. All right, so it's kind of interesting also on the level of just saying it quickly. Obviously, you have an Android device which has a smaller monitor, and then you have a tablet. Do you use the same assets for both? Do you do separate packages, or do you wrap them up together and make it work to all the different various screen sizes?
Yeah, there are a number of different kind of workflows
Mm-hmm.
for targeting both a mobile device as far as a smartphone and a tablet with the same application.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually write two separate applications for that.
Right.
There are other ways to handle it, such as simply using different assets
Mm-hmm.
for each device. So you
Right.
use the larger resolution asset for one and not the other, or different sized assets for different devices, depending upon what is actually read back in terms of their pixel density and so forth. Um,
Very interesting.
there's also ways of packaging your code so that you have your core code base that's actually part of a library that's shared between two separate kind of wrapper code bases. So one that targets a
Mm-hmm.
smartphone and
Mm-hmm.
one that targets a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then you can make adjustments based on that.
Interesting. All right, so let's move on to chapter 7. So I guess chapter 6, we don't have a specific exercise. It's really an awareness. It's kind of like an awareness chapter where the recipes go over things you just need to be aware of, and shows you how to deal with specific issues and specific ways of dealing with the layout. So we're not going to tie in an example for that. Just make sure that you get all the recipes, because I'm sure all of them will be really helpful as you start building your own applications.